But I've had 5 projectionists die in the nearly 40 years I've been doing this, on the job, not in the booth, but you know, they were working. So they are literally a dying breed.
I'm from a small town. I was a concession stand kid, and friends of mine ran the projection booth upstairs, and I hung out with them. They taught me. They basically were a little older than me, and they started dating, so I took over. But I made a career out of it.
Those of us that have been around long enough to remember when there was only one screen in a lot of theaters, and that those theaters had a distinctive smell, which I've never been able to place. It's somewhere between some kind of deodorizer and probably stale Coke, is I think probably what it is, but it's a lovely smell.
Those fond memories are the only thing many projectionists have to hold on to. The skills of a trained projectionist were once essential to the success of a theater, but as film is phased out and digital takes over the industry, projectionists simply aren't needed at most theaters.
Everyone in this industry is in constant terror of being replaced. There is a perfectly good paranoia to everything in this business.
We knew years ago this was coming. We were just basically hoping it wouldn't come too quick. After the transition over to a lot of the digital houses in town, you don't need anybody. So the projectionist job is pretty much, we're turning into like, we're obsolete.
Most big-time theaters, like the Marcus Lincoln Grand Cinema, have already transitioned to digital, taking the human element out of the projection booth.
It should automatically start. We basically type in our show schedules, which will show what time our movies start in different auditoriums. And then we have an area in the office and then upstairs that'll show you if our lamps are lighting, that it's in our trailers and what part of the feature, or how much of the feature is left. So there basically isn't somebody coming upstairs anymore and hitting a start button or a run button. It's automatically done by a computer. All the projectionists here I was able to place. They went into being assistants, and some of them were already assistants, or they went to other places doing like in our facility doing maintenance and some other stuff. So here all of our projectionists they're still employed. I'm still so used to film and checking everything. When something happens, I don't even think to look on the computer to see what the issue might be. I want to come upstairs to the booth where the projector is.
There's no question digital has streamlined the process of projecting a film. In fact, the most recent wave of technology involves satellites, which puts the projection efforts in the hands of someone hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Valentine Strong in Omaha, a company that once produced film projectors, now specializes in digital projection equipment and houses a network operations center for satellite delivery.
A digital projectionist typically will have to load in the film through a disk drive. They'll have to reset the projector. A lot of this can be done remotely, quite frankly. It could be done from Omaha, Nebraska, or anywhere in the country, if that was the case. Our Network Operations Center manages 4,500 different pieces of equipment in the U.S. That would include projectors, servers, library management servers. So we'll track temperature of the bulbs, temperature of the projector, whether it's running or not, power supplies, energy levels. We'll be watching the screens as the folks are watching up here to see what theaters are up or what are down. And again, on the board over here, you'll see all green lights, which means everything's running fine in the theaters. Some of the old film projectors really were reinstalled overseas. Some of them within theaters here in the U.S. But by and large, most of them went to scrap. These are film projectors here. And this is the last of the film projectors that are waiting to ship. These, I believe, are going to Asia somewhere. This is our machine shop. These machines a week ago. And these were the machines that made our analog equipment. So without the need to manufacture analog equipment anymore, we have no need for the machines. Sure, it affects projectionists, but that's just such a small piece. And there's so much more beyond that that really is a positive for the industry, positive for our business. And where one area goes down, the other area comes up.
Projectionists like Lynn Rogers disagree that the digital takeover is an overall good for the industry, but he is perfectly aware of the capabilities of digital projectors.
We got our first digital projector over 10 years ago, and they've been improving them ever since for brightness and clarity, but they're very good, and they will become absolutely dominant.
And you know, this is the biggest advance in the industry since the advent of sound, and that made huge changes in the industry. That a lot of people's lives were ruined after that.
The transition to digital might not be much different, except now projectionists are the ones whose careers are at stake. In fact, the local projectionist union folded just last year because the jobs frankly didn't exist anymore.
I was the president of the union, and what I tried to do with a lot of the members was, we are the same, we're in the same organization as the stagehands. And a lot of places, they combine forces where they end up being one. That way the guys, if they lost their job, could go do some stage work. But the majority of them didn't do it. They went off and looked for other work. Digital killed us.
For the small number of theaters that still use and embrace film, another threat is on the horizon.
Yeah, we're getting rumors all the time that they may not want to make film anymore, but we're thinking they're going to keep some film around for like the older prints. Places in New York, Chicago, here, they do have houses like this, and they are very popular with the people in town for the simple fact that we do run film. We're kind of like the old album. You know, the albums still are around, and a lot of people thought they were going to die out, but you still can buy an album.
Art houses and places like the Ross on university campuses will be the only places that have 35 millimeter, and we'll keep it because once in a while we'll want to show an archival print or an older print, something of historical value on film rather than on digital.
Yeah, I mean the same reason that people pay any attention to history is why this stuff is important. It's because you're going to be looking at the original way that something was created. You know, all of us are going to be dead. It's not going to matter, but to future generations, maybe some of this will have some value. But again, who cares? You know, I mean, that's the whole issue. If nobody cares, then you got a problem.
Fortunately for projectionists, it seems some people care. To preserve and cherish film is the reason art houses like Film Streams exist, and others are starting to take notice of the demise of projectionists.
There's a person over in Canada writing a book on us right now, and they've been finding all these, we're like the last of the Mohicans, and they've been finding the last of the projectionists, and they've been interviewing us. We've been writing articles for them, and there's possibility of a book being put out here in the next year. I always had a funny feeling I'd be one of the last. A lot of the old projectionists are gone. I'm not to say I'm glad they're dead, but I'm glad a lot of them are not witnessing the death of film, because I think it would have killed them anyway, but it would have broke their hearts.